today we're talking about margaritas, marches, and mania. And today I'm drinking Black Box tequila, and we're gonna make some good shit. Oh, I'm Spencer. Who are you?
I'm Kevin, and I am drinking Herradura tequila.
Nice, delicious. And who are you, lovely lady?
I am Belinda, MILF drinking Lunazol tonight.
Awesome. All right, and we're also joined by Will.
Yes, I am simply Will, and I am also drinking Lunazula, the moon, the most beautiful moon.
Nice. And what a fucking year this week has been. Oh my god. Oh my god. So we're gonna get right into it. So what are we drinking this week, Kevin?
This week we are drinking a Tommy's Margarita. Do you guys know what a Tommy's Margarita is?
I have no fucking clue what that is. What is that? I
Uh,
mean, I've had margaritas, but what is Tommy's Margarita?
Margaritas have been around forever. There's a mom and pop restaurant in San Francisco, California. Started back in the 60s.
Uh-huh.
And mom and pop had a son, and they put him in charge of the liquor, as one does. I wish that had happened to me, but they put him in charge of the alcohol side of the business. And he decided way back in the 80s, after visiting distilleries down in Mexico and things like that, that he loved agave, the primary component of tequila. And he wanted to make a margarita at his mom and dad's restaurant that was very agave forward. So the first thing he did is he started looking into 100% agave, 100% blue agave tequila. Back then,
So is that the same as tequila blanco? Is that basically the same thing?
Tequila blanco is just a type of like you see that this is sometimes they call it silver. That's just the coloring and the way they make it. But you can have 100% agave tequilas that are reposado, blanco, any of the varieties of tequila. But in order to be tequila, technically you only have to use 51% agave. And agave's rather expensive. It takes 7 to 8 years to grow an agave plant before you can use it at all. And so a lot of the tequilas, especially back then, would only use 51% agave and then use some neutral grain spirit to kind of fill in the gaps.
So
And
like vodka or what?
yeah, just any kind of neutral grain spirit, probably essentially like a vodka. Yeah. So he started to get really interested in 100% agave tequila. It tastes so much better. It has the true essence of what tequila was supposed to be. And then realized back in the 80s, you couldn't just go to the grocery store and pick up agave nectar or agave sweetener. Nowadays we can, but back then down in Mexico, he found out that when they weren't using agave to make tequila, they would use it to make sweetener. So a traditional margarita has tequila and lime juice, and then usually a triple sec or a Cointreau, some sort of orange liqueur. One of the main reasons they use the orange liqueur in a traditional margarita is to cover up the taste.
Is that like a Cointreau? I don't even know how to fucking say that.
Cointreau.
Cointreau, yeah.
Cointreau triples or Cointreau triple sec or
Orange Curacao, or how do you say that?
Oh, Curacao. Yeah.
Curacao, yeah.
Or Grand Marnier if you're feeling really fancy.
Maybe orangey stuff.
But the reason they use that in a margarita is basically to cover up the flavor of the tequila, because the tequila back then was kind of bullshit unless you bought the really high-end stuff. So he created one in order to make it more agave forward, where he essentially substitutes the agave for the orange liqueur. So our recipe today is 2 ounces of a 100% agave tequila.
So you're saying you actually measure shit out?
Well, not always. No, but if I'm making the traditional Tommy's Margarita, Tommy's is the name of the Julio is actually the name of the man who came up with the recipe, but his father's name was Tommy, and that's why the restaurant was named after that. They actually just called it their house margarita, but the world came to know it as Tommy's Margarita since that's where it was started. So 2 ounces of 100% blue agave tequila, an ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice. Again, you can pour juice out of a bottle if that's all you have on hand, but ideally it's fresh squeezed lime juice, and then a ½ ounce of agave nectar. So let's go ahead and pour.
So 2 ounce tequila, ½ ounce lemon, and ½ ounce agave.
No, so it's really easy. It steps down every time.
Oh,
2 ounces of tequila, 1 ounce of lime juice or lemon juice, if that's what Spencer likes to go non-traditional, so I get it.
I mean, I freestyle.
Exactly. So another ½ ounce step down of the agave. So it's actually one of my favorite recipes because it's so easy to remember the amounts. So
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Last Call, because Last Call is just like equal parts everything. It's really easy to remember.
So I poured in my 2 ounces of tequila, and I'm doing this live on the camera. When you do your juice, it's a good idea to use. You can use a reamer, or you can use one of these juicing elbows. You can buy them at most grocery stores, or I don't know, fucking Bed Bath and Beyond, whatever.
I was just thinking,
Sponsorship deal.
Bed Bath Juicers and Beyond, you mean?
So I've got one here. One of the reasons I recommend using one of these is it not only squeezes out the juice from the holes there, but the pressure from the top gets the oils out of the skin.
Oh, okay. See, I'm lazy. I just use the like fucking bottle of lemon juice or lime juice. Just
I mean,
like
I'm not gonna lie.
it's so much better. You're right. It's so much better with fresh juice, but man, Belinda's at it right there. But
so it is an ounce, but if it's kind of a standard size lime, you can just eyeball it, and usually one lime, a whole lime, is about an ounce.
All right. What you guys don't know is I actually cheated before, so I've got mine ready to go. Yeah. I'll tell you my super secret recipe in a minute, but
well, here's what's crazy, guys, is I have never mixed a drink other than a gin and tonic. So this will be my very first.
This is Will's very first. You ordered supplies just for this, right? You got your.
I did. I literally did.
So again,
how do you feel about the word jigger? Just kidding.
Oh boy! I'll put an episode just on that.
I know. When I started drinking, I was like, "Wait, what? They call it what? A jigger? Jigger? Are you fucking kidding me?" Anyhow, it's like too close. Too close.
Here's another tip. So I have my little ice bucket here. This is just ice out of my fridge. It's melted a little bit as I've been sitting here, but bigger ice is better for shaking. Not so big that it clunks around in there.
Oh, really? That's interesting. I've always like crushed my ice or had smaller pieces.
The problem with the crushed ice is when you have the smaller surface space, it melts faster and quicker too.
We'll have to talk about the whole wet dry shake business sometime.
Yeah. We'll do whiskey sour or something one of these.
All right.
We can talk about.
Although I commit heresy and shake my sours with ice, but.
So I'm going to put about a cup of ice in.
Belinda's.
Is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
What's that?
Am I supposed to be following along here?
Oh yeah, or you can watch and then.
Yeah, I'm a little behind.
Get all your ingredients in. Get your ice in. I usually put all of my ingredients and the ice in the smaller, especially if I'm just doing a single serving drink, in the smaller portion. We have a Boston shaker here, so they fit together, but one's smaller and one's bigger. And then I just simply tip the smaller one on top. And then on a hard surface, which the hard surface is going to be my leg right now, I give it a good pounding, a nice slap right on the ass end of it so that it's in there pretty tight.
It's always the best spot, Kevin.
Yeah. And then I grab the bottom of the shaker and then hold my hand on the top. And then just give it a good shake. Can you hear me over the shaking?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you just fine.
So-
I mean, does it matter how you shake? Because I've been to bars, dude, and I've seen people do
No, I mean-
backflips while shaking. I've seen them use their
shaky motions. I just keep it simple.
yeah. Do you do a figure eight? What do you do?
There's a lot of ways people say to know how long to shake it for.
Yeah,
What I tell people: shake
like a Polaroid picture. I
until
get
it's
it.
so cold you feel like you need to set it down, and then do it for about 8 seconds longer than that.
Oh shit, interesting. I didn't even think about that.
And then sometimes you have to give it a good thump on the side to get it apart. And then for a margarita, I like to have the ice in mine. Also, I wanted to bring up, oftentimes you'll see this kind of glass for a margarita. People will pour them in here.
What is that called?
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I guess
Is it a coupe or is it a margarita glass?
It's a margarita glass. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
These were kind of traditionally made. Margaritas used to often be blended, like in a blender with ice.
I've made those.
Yeah, and they're delicious. There's nothing wrong with them. So this is the more traditional glass for that type of margarita. Also, some people will salt the rim of their glass. I tend to just put a little bit of salt into my drink before I shake it and do it that way.
Oh my god, I've learned so much already. Like
I am not going to strain this one because I like to keep the ice in my margarita. So I just kind of tip it.
You know, it's hard to show, but if you guys are using a Boston shaker, that's the correct term, right? Like this.
Yeah.
I learned this from a dude at a bar. You can use this as a strainer if you carefully release the liquid. Just slightly crack it enough to catch the ice. Works just fine.
Oh, that is beautiful, Kevin.
A wheel or a wedge of lime is a traditional garnish. Sometimes I get even fancier, but today we'll just do a traditional wedge.
Yeah. Basically, you're fancy as fuck.
And cheers.
Is what you're saying.
So
I clearly did not follow instructions. I don't know about you guys. Belinda looks like she was following instructions very clearly, or carefully rather.
And
I've
just been watching the instructions.
I don't even like measure shit these days. I'm just like, hey, a good cocktail has some sweet, it's got some sour, it's got some liqueur, and then maybe some bitters or flavor, and that's it. And I shake that shit up. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah. I would suggest freestyling like that is a great idea and how you really learn to make good cocktails. I would suggest one time at least trying like the recipe of any good cocktail, because you can learn a lot from the.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm just saying I've been at it for a minute. But yeah, you learn that stuff pretty quickly.
For sure. And
so you're gonna have to, Kevin, you're gonna have to walk me through this. So would you?
Have you poured anything?
You got what is it? 3 ounces?
2 ounces.
Of tequila.
2 ounces.
So Will's trying to pass out. Will's trying to get shit faced and pass out.
only 2. Okay.
A loose 2 ounces.
So that's you told me your jigger was 2 ounce and 1 ounce, or
yeah, 2 ounce and 1 ounce. So I got 2. I got
side of the jigger, yeah. Now I feel really awkward about that utensil. The measuring device. Yes, exactly.
The measuring tool.
And then we got 1 ounce of
lime
agave.
juice. No,
lime.
Juice. Yeah,
man, this is a good thing I have you going through this.
Yeah, basically a whole lime if you're using a real lime. If you're using just juice, measure out 1 ounce. Yeah.
I'm cutting a whole lime right now.
Nice. Do you have a juicing implement?
I don't. I was just gonna use my hands. I'm not fancy like you guys.
Well, you know. A reamer, that's also an interesting.
Oh my god.
Bill already knows his hands juice things quite well, right?
Will is so good with those hands. Will.
Yeah.
Oh, Will.
I'm just not going to comment.
Oh my god.
All right.
You know what we should do in a future episode, actually, because I don't think we're going to talk about this time, but how we met each other. That would be an interesting
That'd be
thing to
fun.
cover. Because yeah, we all kind of came into each other's lives in different ways. So
Can we get a sponsorship deal from the Big V?
this podcast is brought to you by the Big V. Apologies,
All right,
Belinda.
You know what? This is going to be impossible.
like, what?
All right, no worries. You carry on. So, mine, I just kind of freestyle it. I when I make a margarita, I've seen a lot of recipes, and you can do a lot of interesting things. Like I have jalapeno tequila. I've tried to infuse tequilas. I think you and Belinda are better at that, Kevin, than I have. I've tried. And when I try to infuse a tequila, I typically get kind of a bitter flavor, and it was a bit off-putting. So I'll need to.
Jalapeno is a tough one that way. If you're
Yeah, it totally ruined. Like I bought this whole batch of reposado or blanco. I don't remember. This just big ass 1750 milliliter bottle, and I was like, okay, fuck yeah, I'm gonna make some jalapeno tequila. And I put the jalapenos in there, and I was like, oh shit, this tastes terrible.
it tastes kind of like a barnyard.
It does.
We've done that before.
So do you have to like process the jalapenos before, or what's the deal?
It's not a long time that you need the jalapeno in there.
Okay, because I think my issue was I put the seeds and everything in, and I left it for like a day.
Yeah. I think the seeds are actually I need to look into it more, but I think the seeds are actually the thing you want in there.
Well, the seeds are the hot bit
And
for sure.
Yeah,
the green
the
part,
hot part.
well,
Yeah.
and the green part is what tastes vegetal, which makes sense.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
yeah, it tasted like what's that weird ass Australian thing? Vegemite. It
Not
tastes
the
like Vegemite.
not the other big V is what you're saying.
The other big V, yeah.
All right, Kevin. How much agave do I put this in? Put in this bad boy?
Half ounce. So
Half.
the small side, just fill it halfway.
All right, and then how much ice? Like 1 or 2 or?
About a cup. No, like
Like
you
4.
just have refrigerator ice, like maybe 6
Alright.
of those.
You know what,
Just-
Will?
And we're all good. This is how easy making drinks has been. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. So this is a pretty simple recipe, but honestly, like Spencer was saying, once you learn the basics of how to balance a drink, kind of riffing on any kind of cocktail is really easy to do.
You know, Will, I won't blame you if you make a 3-ounce tequila margarita, because no, I mean it's a good segue, because what a week it's been.
Absolutely.
What a week it's been.
That's what I was gonna say.
Holy shit.
Oh,
So
Why? What happened?
well, we're recording this on January 10th. Well, I mean, I was chilling at home on Wednesday. I've been trying to riff on a name for Wednesday. Is it Dark Wednesday? Is it White Wednesday? Is it Hateful Wednesday? I don't know. We don't have a catchy name for it yet, but that is the day that I witnessed, thanks to you, frankly. Will, you sent me this link, and I was like,
Oh,
okay,
nice.
what is this YouTube link? And I saw people marching on the Capitol doing things that I wish I could do.
and to make it clear, the link was a live stream
It was a fucking live stream.
from
So
someone.
I click on this link, and I see angry hordes of white people screaming at cops in front of the nation's capital. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? You know, I think you were in a meeting, Kevin. Belinda was
I was at work and I was watching it at my desk while I was working, and just like wide-eyed, just oh my goodness, and updating people around me. I was like, oh my gosh, they're in.
Well, that was
yeah.
a weird part too, is, you know, Will sent the link, I'm watching, I'm texting you guys, and I start texting other people, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh my God, you gotta tune in. So I posted to Twitter, I posted to Facebook, and it was almost like this collective like realization of the monster that was created coming to bear and rearing its ugly head.
Yeah.
So for those who've been living in another dimension and completely unaware of what's happening in the United States, we had an incident this week where throngs of angry white people marched on the Capitol of the United States of America while Congress was in session, after the president of the United States incited violence, essentially, through his words. And, you know, if you want to be objectively straight and narrow in your definition of whether he incited it or not, that's debatable. But the point is, he spoke, people got excited, and they marched. They marched on the Capitol. They attacked the police. They pushed past barriers and eventually made their way to the Capitol. And I had a holy shit moment. I don't know about you guys and what your perspective or point of view was, but I was like, holy shit, this is happening. This is actually happening.
Yeah, I was talking to some friends, and like I was just saying, what a not even a miracle, just how lucky it was that it didn't turn out worse. Imagine if they would have caught like AOC or Ilhan Omar in the halls of Congress. They would have done a public execution of those people.
I mean, or worse, frankly.
What was that?
Is it just or worse, frankly, because
yeah.
They're women, they're minorities. I could totally see them doing heinous things, and I don't want to like even ideate on that, but yeah, it would have been bad.
Did you guys see the video that came out today where it's a group of all these people in front of Congress trying to get in, right? And they pull out one of the police officers and start beating the shit out of him. One of the police officers. These are the same people that say they back the blue. Bullshit.
Yeah, I guess before we get into specifics, just to frame the whole thing. So
how does this look? I don't know.
It looks
Beautiful.
delicious.
I love it.
How does it feel for you, Will? I don't have a lime wedge, so I feel like a pleb. I feel like one of those people that Donald Trump hates right now.
Yes, this is good.
Those unclassy people in the crowd, right?
The unwashed masses who would deign to have a lime wedge in their margarita. That is me right now. I am with them. But just to give a little bit more context here, before we get into specifics. The specifics are important, but and not that everyone doesn't know this, but this is just what I saw. I saw people screaming at cops, passing them, beating the shit out of them, like you said, Will, breaking and defacing property. We'll get to the comparisons of the Black Lives Matter protests and what we witnessed this week, but actually threatening physical harm. I mean, people, they erected a noose and gallows on the Capitol grounds. Like, absolutely insane.
When I saw that, like,
they were just angry, upset, irrational. It felt very feral and just uncontrolled. Like it was just rage. It was pure rage expressed in a physical sense. And I mean, if you think about the optics of the whole thing, not even just the optics, but in a real sense, Congress was in session, and I took some time before the podcast today to look at the structure in which the United States government is arranged. And not everyone, but much of the chain of succession that would be there to act as a check against the president was in Congress. Like if they had gone in and killed everyone or harmed them, we'd be in a
I don't think we've really grasped the how horrible it is and how insane it is that the president of the United States literally sicked a mob of people to try to kill Mike Pence, the vice president. That's like his flat out. Yeah, his vice president. Like if we just put this all into one sentence, if my kids were always asking me what happened this week, I would tell them the president of the United States tried to kill the vice president because he was mad that the vice president was certifying the vote against him.
Yeah.
That's what happened. He tried to kill the vice president and it didn't work. Luckily.
Yeah, as they've started to play back some of the speeches from the rally that happened before the march happened on the Capitol. When you listen to Donald Trump, when you listen to Rudy Giuliani, when you listen to other Republican leaders who spoke in that event, they incited violence. It's slightly hidden in their language, but some of it's not even slightly hidden. Rudy Giuliani straight up calls out that there needs to be, how did he phrase it?
Trial by combat. And if you look at the historical framing, or at least
what is combat? Combat's war.
Yeah, but no, it was fight to death. It's basically let's fight to the death and decide.
The t-shirts that several of them were wearing that they made in advance. It's
Civil War. Yeah.
Oh no, oh no, Kevin, this was not coordinated by any means.
Oh, Kevin, that was Antifa. What are you talking about? That was obviously Antifa infiltrators.
No, or Newt Gingrich's appearance on Sean Hannity was it the day before, where he talked about the previous Civil War. So they were ready for something, for sure.
Just
Spencer, do you know why I sent that link and why I was even watching that live stream in the first place?
I had no fucking clue, dude. I was just living my life, drawing my shit, and you share this link.
I was watching because I had seen some posts from a week ago and a couple weeks ago where people were talking about maybe we're gonna try something on January 6th. Maybe we're gonna just really vague things like they're gonna see what we're talking about, or just like some like weird way of phrasing like they're finally gonna listen to us on the 6th. So I watched Donald Trump's his little hate speech that he gave before, where he made up all these insane conspiracies that every single judge has just completely rejected. And then he told them to go march on the Capitol. And then I saw him hop the fence. I'm like watching this all unfold as I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then that's when I sent it to you guys.
Yeah.
And then they broke in. So we knew that it was going to happen. Everybody on Twitter knew it was going to happen.
I mean, if I take my mind back 5 years ago, and I remember that day that the president won the election, that Hillary Clinton conceded, that reality kind of set in. And I even thought to myself, let's just give him a chance. Let's give him a chance. This can't be so bad. He's going to be surrounded by people that know their shit. They're going to keep him in line. There's no fucking way I imagined that there would be a siege on the United States Capitol.
Yes, right? but do we remember back to his days on what was it called? The Apprentice?
The Apprentice. No, I never watched that shit, man.
I never did either, but we still all knew his favorite line, right?
You're fired.
You're fired. And that's what he's done throughout his 4 years in office is anyone who disagrees with him in any way, shape, or form is immediately fired. Move on to the next person and wait for the yes men or yes women. And then even when they're yes men or yes women for any period of time, they're fine. But the second they show any, judgment against anything he's doing or anything he's saying, even the smallest thing, they're out on their ass and someone else is in their place.
So this is literally what I foresaw when he was elected. I figured it was going to go down in flames, literally go down in flames like it has. I think somebody tweeted like a picture of the Capitol the other day, and they're like, if you had shown me this picture 4 years ago when he was elected, I would have been like, yeah, sounds about right. Correct? Like,
no, I had no fucking clue. I just thought, this is America. Like, this shit doesn't happen. Just for a bit of context, I grew up in Jamaica. I've seen a lot of crazy things. I've seen people murdered. I've seen riots. I've seen protests. I've seen all sorts of shit, right? I've never seen people march on government in this way for completely made up bullshit reasons. And we'll touch on that again, like I said, with the, I've seen people compare this to the Black Lives Matter protests and trying to create some equivalence here. But for me, it doesn't really quite add up. But in any case, Belinda, I didn't imagine this would be a thing. It didn't even cross my mind.
I did. I'm surprised that it didn't happen earlier, to be honest. We've had this group of Americans where they've gotten bad luck. Jobs have been shipped overseas, and they have this populist come in here, and he tells them, we're going to bring those jobs back. So that's how he fomented this crowd of this cult. He created this cult by making up these promises that he never delivered on, because as soon as he delivered on them, he would lose his followers. So he said, we're going to build the wall. The wall was never built. Said, oh, it's Congress's fault. He's just not going to do it because he wants his followers to remain loyal.
Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
Exactly. And you have this horde of these crazy people and the person who that they thought was going to deliver for him didn't deliver. So I'm not surprised that they finally tried to do something crazy. I'm surprised that they didn't do it earlier. Why didn't they get pissed off when the Republicans lost the House? Like they had 2 years to do anything that they wanted, and they didn't get any of it done. And I thought that this sort of thing was going to happen 2 years ago, to be honest.
Absolutely. Do you think there's a reason they waited till the absolute last moment to do this entire trick?
Yes.
I think it's stupid. I think it's because he is a stupid person. I think on the authoritarian treadmill, this concept of authoritarian treadmill, where as soon as you get on it, you cannot get off. And it goes faster and faster and faster towards authoritarianism or fascism. Because as soon as you get off, you get prosecuted. You actually get in trouble. You have to face the music. And I think he's just a stupid person where he's on this treadmill and he doesn't even realize he's on his treadmill until he lost the election. And then he was like, oh, fuck, I can actually lose things. He's a rich kid that has never had to face any sort of problems in his life. He's always got what he's wanted. Sure. And I think in November, he finally realized, I can't just take it. What are you guys talking about? Yeah. And then he tried to just take it, and he failed because he's stupid. That's how I see it. That's a super hot take, though.
You hit the nail on the head. I think the reason it didn't happen until now is because this cult leader, Donald J. Trump, as long as he was happy, as long as he felt the power and the ability to, even with the Twitter thing, right? Like he's a child that once his, toy was taken away and he screamed for it back, and, mom and dad said no, he threw a fit. And so he finally threw the fit. The reason it's happening now is because his toy's being taken away, not just his Twitter account, but his right to, be the quote unquote leader of the free world. Although I take exception with that title, but really he's just a child who's throwing a tantrum because he didn't get his way.
And I feel like there was more machination involved. I feel like they planned this out. How many times are you going to have the vice presidents and Congress and everybody all together and people pissed off, right? And ready to fight.
I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Okay, let's hear it.
So mark where we're at in this video, because this is going to be completely wrong. But I'm feeling like it'll be true. I think what we're gonna find out as they start investigating these things is that yes, they were planning on actually executing politicians. You had a guy that brought a dozen pipe bombs and a way to make even more.
When you say they, who do you mean though?
That's what I don't know. So there's people that in the Stop the Steal organization that's set up by Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure it's that organization that had organized this.
Well, here's the good news.
I don't think that they organized hey, you bring pipe bombs and you bring a couple flex cuffs, the zip ties for handcuffs. I don't think they did that, but I'm pretty sure that they organized this such a way where it's hey, why don't we try to break in and interrupt the proceedings? I think we're gonna find out that some of the people from the Stop the Steal organization, that they did have an inkling that this would happen. Not really because they're criminals. They're not the mafia isn't gonna be texting each other hey, did you do the hit on so and so? They're gonna talk about it maybe we're gonna interrupt it. And maybe they didn't have a full grasp of oh shit, they're really gonna break in. And then when they did, they kind of fuck.
I can't help but think though, witnessing at least what I saw, and Belinda, Kevin, feel free to chime in here, but it didn't seem very coordinated, at least in the sense that there was a plan that was okay, A, B, then C. Here we are. Watching them kind of roam the Capitol and do what they were doing, and there were a couple camera feeds on C-SPAN and MSNBC that I was watching anyways. It didn't seem very coordinated. However, I'm not contradicting you in the sense that I don't deny that there were people prepared. There were weapons, there were zip ties, pipe bombs were
Fucking
found in the
gallows, right?
gallows set up. Like, so there's a bit of like, what the fuck? Like, what's your objective here? You trying to like murder Nancy Pelosi or do some like heinous shit? Like,
I think to the extent that it was planned, I think the planned part was probably more of like, we're going to interrupt what's going on in the Capitol. Not so much as like, we're going to plan to go break into the Capitol. I think that their plan was more to disrupt than it was to actually break in. And then I think there was elements within those groups because you had like literal Nazis, people that had gone to white nationalist Nazi parties that have pictures of them online at these Nazi parties. So that there's elements within the Stop the Steal people that were a little bit more radical who agitated. Because if you want to know what an actual organized protest looks like, that's where the Black Lives Matter stuff comes in.
Exactly.
Because they have a clear purpose in what they're trying to do. They're trying to point out the problems in the policing system and to actually get change within the policing system through direct action.
I think
part of that is when they organize their protests, they organize to have medics come in and they organize to have water there and snacks there and accessibility features there so that people can actually participate in the protest. It's not like a let's go attack the police building. It's let's go in front of the police building and let's be heard. And then the police will tear gas them, hit them with batons, shoot rubber bullets at them, and then that's when the violence starts to come. And it's mostly violence done by the police on the protesters, not from the protesters on the police. The riot. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it was definitely a ragtag group, right? It was a bunch of really angry people, but we had tons of enablers, right? Like you have Clarence Thomas's wife who sent 50 buses or something to go transport people to the protest or riot, whatever. So I think they knew that if they got enough people there, they would overturn something, right? They would disrupt it enough that they could take over. I don't know. And I think we're going to find out more, I guess, as time goes on and we find out
I hope
everybody's
so.
involvement.
The beautiful thing is we still have Rudy Giuliani involved in this organization. He's liable to butt dial someone any moment now and spill the beans on the whole thing.
That is true.
I think there was organization in the upper echelon, from Donald Trump on down within his organization that were doing significant planning. That's why you had the rally. That's why you had speeches from politicians all over. And then there was individual organizing in the lower levels too. And I think there was a purposeful, not really disconnect, but lack of planning all the way down through because they didn't want it to be able to be traced back to them officially. But like I said, these guys are dumb enough to...
I don't think it's that they didn't want it traced back to them. I think it's that they just suck at organizing. The right doesn't have any practice in organizing protests or direct actions, where the left does. The like leftists, that's literally their whole entire thing is organize. Organize your workplace, organize your neighborhood, your community, organize your school. That's what they teach. That's what they preach. And so that's why, like at Black Lives Matter protests, if you get hurt, there's going to be a medic that comes and checks you out. If you're thirsty, there's going to be somebody that hands you a water bottle. At this place, there's none of that. It's a free for all. So I don't think it's necessarily that they're covering their own asses. Maybe it is. I think it's more just the right sucks at organizing.
I mean, we did have horned felt per dude like leading the charge, so to speak. But I see your point, Will. Like, and it's interesting because as I reflect back, full disclosure, I was actually more conservative in the past. You mentioned things like this is a cult. We can talk about that as well. The fact that we have personal experience with like surrendering your thoughts, your very perception of reality to a higher authority, right? Whether willingly or contextually speaking, whether it's your parents telling you to or whatever. But it's interesting thinking, as I compare the left and the right. The left, I feel, has always struggled to unify. They've always struggled to coalesce around a common purpose or theme. There's always been a fracturing, if you will, which third parties have capitalized on. They've been able to, erode a bit of support. Whereas I feel like the right, they've always been like, what, abortion, we hate gay people, we hate trans, we hate all this stuff. We're not going to tolerate anything, and it's been easy for them. And I think this, to me, the one, if there's a silver lining at all, it shows me that there is some fracture in that that collectiveness, that collective thinking, to say this is enough. Like, you guys have crossed the line here. You know, eh, eh, we've witnessed, I think, an attack on democracy itself by people who purport to support that idea. Like, it's weird. It's so fucking weird to like see all this happen. And I've been like chewing on it and reconciling and trying to like understand what's happening. But I think what we're witnessing a bit is just a fracture in that support that we've witnessed, historically speaking.
And I think that kind of relation that you're talking about, how the left seems to be, they have a hard time unifying, whereas the right doesn't. I think that largely goes to kind of the political ideologies that are involved, because leftists, they want to democratize power. They don't want a single person to have power. They want everybody to have power and an equal voice in things, and that causes problems, because you can't just like pick a leader and say we're all going to follow that person, because they fundamentally don't believe that should be the case. They fundamentally believe that things should be decided collectively, or at least like an illusion of collectiveness, right? Whereas the right, they're just like, oh yeah, Donald Trump's our leader. I literally heard from somebody who's a huge Trump supporter, they were so pissed off that Mitt Romney would say mean things about Trump. They said Mitt Romney is not a good soldier, and that kind of goes to show like they don't believe in the democratization of power. They believe they just need to get power so that they can.
No, and I think we all understand that to an extent. So
I was just trying to like articulate it.
No, I get that. I mean, we'll do a proper episode where we talk about our backgrounds and all that, but we all at least share a common foundation that we were Mormon. We know what it's like to be in a high demand religion, aka cult. I tend to say high demand religion just to placate everyone and accommodate, lower the temperature a bit, because you tell someone they're in a cult, they're gonna be like, what, but we know what that's like. At least I know what it's like to see something and feel differently, but also recognize that the central authority, as I've externalized and created dependencies on my thinking that are outside myself, and having to reconcile, like, it's really tough. It's really fucking tough. So people like Mitt Romney, of course, they're gonna be called traitor. I mean, fucking Lindsey Graham is being called a traitor at the airport. Like, what the hell? Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Like, fucking Lindsey Graham. Like, come on.
Like Will said, Mike Pence.
Mike Pence is
enemy.
being. Oh my God.
You know what I've reconciled though?
They were literally chanting King Mike Pence. This is the guy that he stood by Donald Trump for 4 whole entire years.
The wildest soldier. One of the wildest things. So getting back to the siege on the Capitol, the terrorist siege on the Capitol. One of the wildest things I saw was there was a woman. I don't remember her name, and it doesn't fucking matter. But she was shot and killed as she was trying to penetrate the defenses that were erected from I believe it was the Senate chamber. She was shot and killed, right? And I saw people so invested in this cult of personality ideology, whatever you want to fucking call it, saying that she's Antifa, the big boogeyman Antifa. I don't even know what the fuck Antifa is personally, and I lean pretty left. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Antifa? What do you mean? This is not an organization. You mean anti-fascist? Like quite literally anti-Nazi? Yeah, that's a good thing. So you're saying she's a good guy? Like, what the fuck? It doesn't even make sense.
They're not collecting dues from me yet, that's for sure. Right?
And they haven't paid me for any work done. So
I was like, what the fuck? So my point is, like, when you get so invested in a cult, when you get so invested in an idea, you have this concept of the sunk cost fallacy. Man, this improvised Tommy Margarita is hitting, but I feel like people are so invested, they're unwilling to like check themselves and be like, okay, what's real? And I have people that are close to me that are sucked into this shit.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a measure of pride associated with it, they don't want to admit that they were wrong. And so they hold tight to it. I think that's kind of a Mormon thing in a little bit.
I mean, possibly, but it's also a white thing. Like, do white people really want to be wrong? I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm coming at you guys or whatever, but
no.
I'm like, do you ever want to admit that, like, hey, you might be wrong because white is right?
It's similar to we saw this a lot when gay people were finally able to marry each other, where straight people somehow thought that when gay people got equal rights, that it somehow took away from their own rights.
Yeah, there's almost this what do you call it? Mutually exclusive framing and mindset. And it's like, what the I've had conversations, I won't even say who, but people that are near and dear to me. I'm like, what the fuck does it matter that two people of the same gender as they identify are walking down the street holding hands? What does that have to do with you? Let them be. Live your fucking life. It's weird.
And so I think there's a similar thing going on. And you shared that Instagram video today, Spencer, where it was like a town hall and there's a bunch of white people that were mad that
oh yeah, we'll have to include that link in the show notes, but yes.
Yeah. It's a similar I was going to mention this in our group chat, but it's a similar, I think it's a similar dynamic with like gay rights, where like black people are just saying like, hey, let's like make sure that white people, it's not even black people are just saying, let's make sure people are aware of their own privileges, and let's make sure that we're not perpetuating the system where we're putting one type of people above another type of people. And the people who are currently at like that are getting all the privilege and all of the perks, they're mad because of it. But the thing is, they're not going to be losing anything. They're not. No, they already have their privilege. It's just that other people are going to be equal. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's really curious to observe. Kevin, what were you saying? Sorry, my bad.
I just want to stop and say, do you know what my privilege is right at the moment? This motherfucking tequila. It's delicious.
Nice.
I decided to not even make a margarita this time. I just put straight tequila in.
Oh, nice. I mean, that's good too. I improvise.
Carry on. I just had
no. I improvised. I didn't even measure shit, dude. I probably had a 3-ounce margarita, so it's all good. But, yeah, you make good points. I just think, and the other thought that's kind of been, I guess, sitting with me this week is, okay, cool. We have, not by imperative, but rather by circumstance, a majority two-party system rather. Okay, and people tend to coalesce or at least lump their ideologies into these two factions for the most part, right? I mean, certainly there's a Green Party, other parties as well. I think there's a Constitution Party, whatever.
Socialist.
What I find curious is you compare left to right, and yes, I lean left, absolutely, 100%. I think I'm the anarchist in my family, actually. Just the socio-anarchist in my family. That's who I am. And they're like, whoa, Spencer, back up. But okay, let's compare platforms, and I'm going to be reductive here to foster some discussion. But if I look at the position of the right and the left, here's the reality of life. Gay marriage, that ship has sailed. Stop fighting that.
Right.
Racism, like that ship has sailed. We have problems. We absolutely have problems. You look at 2020, the shit we saw George Floyd murdered in open air on camera, recorded, like a knee on his neck. We saw a man choked out for 7 fucking minutes. Right? And people aren't talking about it anymore. We saw that. We saw Breonna Taylor murdered in her sleep. We saw Rayshard Brooks murdered, chased. Oh my God, fucking chased down, dude, and dudette, but chased down and murdered. Like this is real shit. Okay, so that ship sailed. Tolerance, and I don't even want to say tolerance because tolerance to me is like that's like the baseline. It's like I tolerate, but acceptance, that ship has sailed. You know, accept people for who they are. So what is the platform of the right? When you talk to people, what is their position? What's their platform? I say it's money over bodies, money over life.
Absolutely.
We have a mindset in this country. It's a capitalistic mindset, and it may sound hypocritical that I'm criticizing the system because I benefit from it. You know, I design shit, I make shit, people pay me money to do it, but it's money over bodies. It really is. This relentless pursuit of increase is what's coming from the right.
Here's the thing. A lot of the right professes to be Christian.
Dude.
If they follow Jesus Christ's teachings, like none of these things play out, right? So it has.
Well, I mean, assuming this is a real person, yeah, none of this really squares up.
If I say I follow Jason Bourne and he's my, my God or
dude,
whatever,
stop.
then whatever. I'm a Bourneite. It's fine. But regardless of whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it really doesn't matter. These people are claiming that the stories about this person are what they profess or what they follow or what they are collecting 10% of your income for to make those things a reality. And the reality is, and yet, not all, obviously not all, but, and I'm not just talking about Mormon, I'm talking about Christians in general. Many, many, many on the right profess to be Christian. And how does all the war, how does all the violence, how does all the hatred and judgment align with those Christian values? It just doesn't. It doesn't.
And like I said, this is probably something for another episode. Like we've got so much to talk about, people. But leaving religion and realizing, oh shit, I can be compassionate, I can be moral, I can be ethical, and I can actually fucking care about people. And it doesn't matter what someone else is telling me to do. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And you're right. It's like, how do you square evangelical Christianity, at least as I see it from as an outside perspective? If you guys want to leave comments or hit us up, whatever. How do you square that with what you see? I don't know.
I think it's a joint control issue and money, because who's benefiting from the ban on gay marriage or abortion? I don't see those as money issues as much, but maybe I don't understand. So I feel like it's a control over bodies and minds as well as money. I don't know.
Well, you're totally right, Belinda, because it's a similar thing with abortion. We're hitting all the topics today, folks.
It's episode 1. We're digging.
It's episode 1. We're good.
It's the same thing with abortions, because if these people actually cared about reducing abortions, they would do things like provide comprehensive sex education. They would make birth control free. They would make condoms free. They would make it the easiest thing in the world to get contraceptives.
Right.
But they don't. And because all they want to do at the core of what they actually are trying to do is they want to control women. Because if you take their idea of how to actually reduce abortions, if you take their idea where they criminalize it, if you take that to the extreme, what does that mean? Are women going to have to start registering their periods every month with the government now? Are women going to
I would be so
investigated
bad
if
at
they-
that.
And now you're talking some Handmaid's Tale shit, and I can't even watch that show. Like it's too heavy for
Oh,
me. I'm just
that
like,
thing is torture
I'm just
porn.
like I
It is,
can't.
that show is a little too much for me too.
Yeah, I'm just.
But they aren't profiting off. You're right, Belinda, because they aren't like necessarily profiting off of the lack of people getting abortions, because they would probably be losing money.
Right.
It's about controlling people. It's about controlling women to them. They want to go back to the days where they treated women like chattel, and I'm not for it. I am pro-life. I think that women should be able to choose whatever they want to do with their own body. That's their life. That's why I'm pro-life.
Yeah,
So-
it's interesting you say that, Will, because on the one hand, I agree with you 100%. Like I'm pro-life. I'm also pro-choice. I don't want to abort a baby. I don't want to
Right.
terminate that process, but I also respect the right to do it. I've actually loaned money to a friend to get this done. This is a real thing because she was unable to do that, but it was important to her, and I was like, you know what, do what you got to do. It's curious though, because the kindness, the compassion, the willingness to preserve life from the right seems to end at the fulfillment or realization of that life is just like, oh, you had a baby, cool, fuck you, fuck off, good luck with everything. And I'm just like,
We
whoa,
want to
what the
privatize
hell?
all the school. We want to make it so that you can't even afford getting the kid education. We
Or
make it so
food.
that you have to purchase diapers and all this shit. You're right.
Yeah, and I've talked to people who have gone through these experiences, and it's not something people take lightly. It's just a curious thing. So, going back to the idea of platform, it's like, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting against? I don't see, I mean, like I said, they're not going to change the ability for women to choose, I think. I hope. I mean, we somewhat spoke in apocalyptic, hyperbolic terms when Amy Comey Barrett was confirmed to Supreme Court. Fingers crossed. Hopefully shit doesn't go down, but I'm hoping that people aren't stripped of their rights. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful that as a society we can progress together, that we can reason and we can see policies, ideas, things that benefit everyone. But there seems to be a reluctance to embrace progress from the right, and I can't quite understand it. And the only thing I can really understand is tax cuts and this idea that, hey, we're just millionaires in waiting. We're, the people that stormed the Capitol, they're just millionaires in waiting, right? They're convinced that the American dream is still a thing, that they're gonna be just like their guy, just like Donald Trump. And it's debatable whether he's
Gold toilets, right?
Exactly. It's like I'm aspiring to be this person, as much as in our high demand religious context, we aspired to be like those leaders. I can understand it, but it's weird, and I I struggle personally. I struggle.
Here's what I'm really worried about in the years to come. Talking about all this stuff. Kevin, I see you're wearing a Bernie shirt. Is that what I'm seeing?
Is
yeah.
Bernie
oh yes,
holding the pussycat?
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
My daughter gave me this shirt for Christmas, so yeah.
I love it. So Bernie went on CNN on the day when Trump's people tried to do a coup, and he told Anderson Cooper, I believe it was Anderson Cooper, he made the point that in 2008 to 2010, when the Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they didn't deliver.
Right.
They didn't fundamentally change things to help the working person. And I think that gave rise to what we're seeing now, because a lot of what is happening, and it's definitely not all, I'm not trying to be like a class reductionist in this sense, but a lot of what we saw in the past 10 years has been a rise of people who are pissed off at the system that has been keeping them down. Like I said earlier, our jobs have been shipped overseas. We have changed the way that America functions as an economy. And a lot of people have lost their jobs because of that. Wages have been flat for decades. for decades, and nobody's done anything about it. Our productivity has been off the chart, and wages have been completely flat. And you have this whole entire group of people that are pissed off about it. And like I said earlier, that's when Trump came in, and he's a fake populist, and he made all these fake promises that he never delivered on. But now Democrats have a chance to actually address those issues. They have a chance to address wealth inequality. And my biggest fear in the next few years is that they don't. Because if they don't address those problems, we're going to have another Trump. Except this time, it's going to be a smart Trump.
Well, it's gonna be Hawley, someone who has a law degree from Stanford or whatever the fuck, or like a Ted Cruz or someone like that who can captivate and capitalize, magnify that energy that we saw this Wednesday, January 6th.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So that's why, like, I think in the next few years, like Republicans are gonna make a big noise about it, but they're going to be pissed off either way. They're going to be pissed off no matter what the Democrats do. So I think the Democrats should go bold. I think they should say, you know what, we're going to provide every single American with healthcare. No matter, it's going to help Republicans. It's going to help Democrats. It's going to help the people who live in trailer parks. It's going to help Republican or Democrat. It's going to help every single Trump supporter, every single Biden supporter. It's going to help every single person. And I think if they do that, people are going to start looking at the government and thinking they take care of me. They look out for me. They're gonna look at the government and see an organization that actually takes steps to make your life better. And I think that's gonna reduce the chances of another Trump happening. I don't know. What do you guys?
I love Barack Obama the man. I love Barack Obama the figurehead. I was not a huge fan of Barack Obama, the president, when it came to policy choices in a lot of cases, when it came to war and sending troops overseas. But still today, Barack Obama is called, socialist. He's called like all these things. It does no good. This is what we've learned. It does no good to be centrist if it doesn't get you things that provide for the American people. If all you're doing is being lukewarm, I haven't read the fucking Bible in a long time, but if you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth, essentially, is what God allegedly said. So like the Democrats need to go all in. I'm not a Democrat. I'm registered as an independent. I lean probably more left than most Democrats do, to be honest. So obviously I have a bias here, but to your point, Will, like getting things done, in the end, we've lost a lot of this, like if you're a middle to upper class white straight man, yeah, no shit, of course you're Republican. I mean, I'm that, but I'm not, but it's no surprise to me when a middle class to upper class straight white man is a Republican. I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like the Republican Party like feeds you. So of course you love that. But the shocking thing to me always is when we see lower class white people or people of color, or I don't see a lot
women,
of
women, right?
Yeah, or women who are huge. I won't just say Trump supporters, but even Republicans, period. Where was I going with that? The tequila's kicking in for sure. Okay. So
I know, me too. We should probably wrap this soon.
Those promises that Trump made that he never delivered on is why we saw and have seen over the years a shift of especially like lower class people moving to the Republican Party because they're counting on those promises that were made. Well, let's stop fucking making promises and let's get some shit done. And then people will have something to believe in and really believe in, not just believe in the rhetoric and not believe in the speeches, but look at a record and say, things got done. This is who I'm going to.
Yeah, one of the most painful, tear-jerking videos I've seen in my entire life was this week. I believe I shared it with you guys. I'll be sure to include it here. But this woman who called into C-SPAN, she's from Idaho, and there's this phone call that took place, and she said essentially, "I want you to tell me that my president didn't lie to me." And I just started crying. I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, here's a woman who realized that the last 4 years have been a complete lie, and people lost their lives on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, because they believed, for whatever reason, that this election was stolen. We can touch on that if you want, but the idea that somehow, somehow there was pulling of strings behind the scenes or whatever, compromises being made to make up for 7 million people, a complete repudiation of this president's record and the shit he said. At no point did he say, hey, this might have to do with some shit I said. No, there was no acknowledgement of that. His approach was quite literally, if I lose, it's because they cheated. Hey, Belinda, if I challenge you to a game of chess or ping pong, whatever, and I'm like, hey, Belinda, if I Spencer lose, it's because you cheated. What? Like, what the fuck? How do you even fucking say that? So that video, I watched it, I was like, oh my God. People are finally realizing.
Here's the thing. We understand that realization, right? Having left a religion, having that aha moment, right? Where we realize things are not what we thought they were.
And I realize this margarita is very delicious.
They're awesome, right? I have an acquaintance, and she was a BYU student, a Chaffetz intern, and had lots of Facebook posts with Barack Obama with the Hitler mustache, things like that. And she straight up said the other day, the reason she fights with people online on social media is because that was what helped her leave that behind, because people flamed her on social media when she said something that was not factual or, just straight up racist or, stupid. People said something to her, and finally it hit home. And it's a rough realization, right? Like realizing that you have been lied to, or that, maybe somebody didn't believe they were lying to you, but you pulled information in, took it and did something with it, and realized it was.
Yeah, I mean, thank God they only experienced that for 4 years. I mean, you look at each of us, and to varying degrees, Will, you got out sooner than I think the rest of us. Kevin, you were in for a minute. Belinda, you were in probably around the same time as me, but I mean,
yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to reconcile and realize at age, in my case, 30, I don't remember now. What would this be? 33, 32. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I forked over money in my mind and my associations with people, my behavior, my even, what underwear I'd wear to this organization. Like, it's a hard thing to reconcile, and it's painful, and it sucks. It sucks. I know what these people are going through. It sucks.
Right.
That is for another episode. Yeah,
that is for another episode. But thank God, if there's a God, I didn't kill anyone. I didn't incite a march. I wasn't part of anything like that, I hope. And maybe that's short-sighted of me, because the Mormon Church is responsible for deaths of people who committed suicide because they felt the pressure of wanting to fit in, and they couldn't reconcile. That eats at me personally. Because I was a part of that.
Yeah.
So
my producers are cutting in, and they're telling me we're running short on time.
Okay.
Wait, Kevin. Let me make one last.
Yeah, definitely.
So just to connect this back to the whole rest of the conversation. So, I think a lot like what you're talking about, Spencer and Belinda, is kind of like the sense of, I don't know. You feel like you've been lied to, essentially, right?
Definitely.
And so I am much more of a political mind, which is why I will probably steer the conversation that way, which I'm happy when you guys steer it away, because I can't help myself. But I feel like generally as a society, not just like politics and religion, is just this common sense, this sense of decency that we need to have for each other, because it's just not there. Here in Utah, there is so much homophobia and so much racism, and a lot of times people just don't see it. Just fucking be nice. Just If someone's gay, don't make fun of them. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Accept them as a person. Like if someone's not part of your religion, accept them, love thy neighbor. It's not that hard. And help them out. Like with the Democratic Party, Republican Party, the fucking government. Just help people out. Do what we want you to do. Help us out. And I think there would be a lot more, I don't know, compassion that we have for each other and people feeling like they trust each other. I don't know. That was just kind of
I appreciate that. I think in the future we'll have to either interview each other or give each other space to tell our own stories because we got stories to tell for sure.
Definitely.
I want everybody to go through and tell what tequila they chose today and why they chose it.
Yes.
All right, let's do that to wrap. Okay, Will, you go first.
I got this. I don't even know.
Luna.
Yes, thank you. Because Kevin texted it to me to get it. So
is it cheap?
It was delicious.
It's not cheap, but it's mid-level tequila that's very delicious. And they follow my cocktail Instagram and comment on it. So I love them very much.
Oh, nice. All right. I went with black box tequila. You can actually buy tequila in a box.
Really?
Yes.
I knew you could get whiskey, but I didn't know they had tequila.
My liquor store where I'm at, they have the whiskey in a black box. They have tequila. They have vodka, wine. So you got Chardonnay, you've got your Pinot, you've got Sauv and reds. So it's kind of nice. So I'm not a sipping tequila kind of guy, so I don't really care that much. For me, it's just kind of a mixer.
Yeah.
I chose also the Lunazul, but the daddy size bottle.
Oh, daddy.
Lunazul is good. Lunazul is good. It's inoffensive, right? And inexpensive, and it is great for a mixed drink. And yeah, I do love, I have lots of likes in the tequila world. Tequila is one of my favorites, but Lunazul is just a good solid choice for me.
Watch, Kevin's gonna be like, I got some mezcal with the worm.
We'll do a mezcal episode too. No, I actually chose the brand that the original Tommy's Margarita was made with. I don't speak Spanish, so I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but Herradura.
Okay.
I'll show it.
That sounded right.
Nice. Herradura.
Ultra Añejo.
Añejo.
Yeah. No, I'm a little extra, so I decided that, if I'm really going to show people who I am, I'm going to go get the good stuff for the show. So
all right. Fair enough.
I haven't been traditionally a sipper of tequila, but I just sipped some of this, and damn, this shit is good.
I'm not a tequila sipper. I'll sip whiskey or gin, which I know is weird, but I'm sure we'll cover that.
I'll bring some of this over to your house, and you can try sipping it.
All right, deal.
All right. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm 90% sure that I've never drank tequila before today.
Wow!
What? Will? Oh my God!
You popped your tequila cherry.
I normally just stick with gin and vodka. Honestly, that's normally what I stick.
I don't know if this is completely true or accurate, but I feel as though for me, every alcohol affects me differently.
I just had this conversation,
and I know this can spur another hour-long conversation, so we'll table this one. But
yeah,
we'll save this for another one. But I have thoughts on that. Yeah.
Vodka Spencer is a beast. I'm just gonna say that, and I'll leave it there. But we'll talk about that.
Vodka cocktail.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Thank you, Kevin, for the recipe. Looking forward to the next one. If you guys love the show, definitely let us know. Hit us up, leave a comment, whatever you got to do. We'll be back.
Follow us.
Definitely follow us. We'll be back with more, hopefully delightful conversation, controversial, and enjoyable. But yes, we'll be back for sure. And if you have any recipe requests, let us know for sure.